Hello, hi everybody. Me again, that old guy that does stuff. And today we're going to talk about a couple of products that are out there that are pretty good, and gaming systems and items you can get. If you want a nice case, by the way, you can get a really nice case from Newegg, and I got two of those a while back and redid the systems again, which is normal. I used to be in the computer business for a long time and building systems. Repairing systems, go under warranty and on-site and contract IBM and you name it. Good company, by the way, back then. It's too bad those are all owned by other entities now. If you're looking for good video cards, it's more about the manufacturer than it is about the chipset. Right now, the best ones, the best chipsets, the best video cards are Gigabyte and Zotac. And let me tell you why. Their companies are... well, let's just say they support their product. You don't have that with EVGA, and you don't have that with any of the other companies right now. But I mentioned EVGA is because I bought a 2070 from EVGA, and I also bought it from two other companies. Talk about your nightmare. My machine got so hot from a video card I put in the machine. I have 8 case fans in that machine, and as you see, water cooled on the CPU, so the CPU doesn't overheat the case, but in fact it's quite cool with a 1070 running no matter what I run, no matter how many games or how many hours I play, and I play a lot of video games. And but put that 2070 inside that machine, and guess what we get? A temperature so hot you can't touch your knee to the case. So that's the video card I have in there now. It's a GTX 1070 from Gigabyte, and I trust them. They make good motherboards because of the solid-state electronics, and when they first changed over, everybody used to use those pots that were this break all the time, and oh god, it was a mess. How many machines and how many houses I went to under warranty, and with Gigabytes I very rarely had a failure. Intel motherboards are actually quite good too. Of course, you better spend a lot more money. And I'm really into movies and, video cards and, well, I can tell you just about any hardware product. I can tell you what to stay away from. Stay away from any 2070 to 2080 and probably even the 3080s and 3070s and 3060s or whatever they name them now. And my reasons are real simple. Until NVIDIA starts doing their job, do not waste your money on their products. Right now, you're looking at $700 for a 1070 if you're lucky. And if there's a good sale on it, and I say sale, the 2070s are so hot. If you have a normal case, and mine's above average for cooling, if you have a normal case, forget it. It's going to run too hot. Now, I don't need to explain this to you in technical terms, but I'll explain it to you in the normal terms. When something runs really hot, it breaks, and it breaks fast. And what it does is it causes what's called a cascade. A cascade destroys everything in your machine. So I have no idea who's at fault at NVIDIA. I'm guessing the guy running the company, but I don't know. That's not my job. There you go on the NVIDIA cards. Let's go to other items right now. Mice. If you want a good gaming mouse and you don't want shiny light so much, but it does have a shiny light, the G502 SE from Logitech is still one of the very good gaming mice. You don't have any trouble with it. Right now I'm only playing the simple games, everybody knows Civ. But let me tell you, you do not want to mess with the other cards. I went through a ton of no-name brands, and I wear them out in 3 months, so that's how much I play. In fact, I've got 1,500 days played in World of Warcraft, and at the present time, so many 120s, I don't even know how many I have right now. Not as many as that one guy. I heard there's a guy that has 49, but I don't have 49. I have about 30-something. Just don't know how many. And they're all good geared and everything. So, power line networking should work fine. Does not. A little unreliable. I think it has to do with firmware. Not sure. If you want a good surge protector, this company makes some nice stuff. And you get them off of Amazon. You can get them here in town probably too. But that particular company is outstanding. If you're going to do networking, get a mesh network. Eero is currently where you want to go. And while you're at it, get a bracket. Those brackets make it so much easier to set it up. And the network is 10 times easier to set up than a normal network in a house once you get it running. And of course, I've got this house for gaming and connection. I haven't used all of it yet. But I use a lot of different hardware, and even up to including ring security. Now, good products. Nakamichi. If you want to get a really good soundbar, that's Nakamichi. Don't even bother with the other brands. Those companies are not sound card companies. Well, sorry, not sound card. Not soundbar companies, or not even speaker companies. They're not even audio companies. Nakamichi's been in the audio business for a very long time, made extremely good audio. And that's what you want to go with, because this thing just smoke checks everybody else's. Something to think about when you're buying audio, and that'll get you a good product. Now, let's go on to the other stuff. Well, shameless there. If you're going to be working with hardware, you're going to be drinking Red Bull. If you're not drinking Red Bull, you're drinking Jolt or something like that. Got good gaming chairs also off of Amazon. Unless, of course, you're as big as I am, you can't use that chair. That's my wife's. She gets a pretty chair, and I get the bulk loader off their site. The difference is mine will hold a ludicrous amount of weight and support you at the same time. So very good chairs also off of Amazon. If you look at stuff right now that's out on the market, you will find out certain brands are good and certain are not. If you want speakers for a computer and you want reliability, ease of use, easy setup, Logitech makes some really nice speakers. You'll notice I got 2 sets of those. They're awesome. Monitors, Samsung, any of the monitors at 1920 by 1080. If you go ultra wide, you're looking at LG sometimes, but I'll warn you on LG. I bought an LG OLED TV, had to return it. Why? It wouldn't even play movies all the way through on streaming. Neither does their players. I've got a player I replaced downstairs by a Sony. I did that because if you're buying a Blu-ray player or a 4K player, buy a Sony. Always buy a Sony. Sorry, LG just doesn't cut it, and they haven't done it for a while. Products that you can buy, like I said, if you want a good network with Eero, it'll give you really good coverage, and it's easily extendable and about 5 times faster than the wireless you have in your house normally. Okay? Now, problems you have with these. I called support for several companies to prepare for doing this, and I had a problem with my 2070 that was from EVGA. And they did everything but fix the problem. In fact, they wanted me to hold onto the card the day after I got it because it was way too hot and had artifacts. They wanted me to hold onto the card so that it was outside the ability to return the card. So be aware of that when you deal with EVGA. They did that to me on the telephone. I immediately returned it, and you know, that fiasco is a mess. Let's tell you this right now. If you're getting a card right now, just skip the 2070s, the 2080s, all of them, and I'll tell you why. The best card you can buy if you can get your hand on it really cheap is the GTX 1080 Ti. And after that, NVIDIA hasn't made anything worth buying. The 1070 is fine for playing almost every game because I'm not playing 4K and I'm not playing anything near that. I guess you guys would call this as the 1080p, but it's an ultra wide, so it uses a 2560 by 1080, which is a different resolution. And it's a very nice monitor, works great. But imagine my surprise when I put in the 2070 card and literally did not get an advantage in anything except such a massive heat. It was so hot you couldn't have it. And you tell this to the companies, and I've done it with several. MSI was another one. And the last one on that list was not to me, it's called Power Color. Don't even bother right now because all the trouble there. I've had numerous products held up according to the companies for 30 days. from coming. Let me tell you what that actually means. 30 days means they're holding your money for 30 days in a high-interest, load-bearing account, making money, and then telling you they can't ship the product. So if you've been running into this lately during the COVID-19, be aware that's what's causing it. Anyway, as a big man and an older guy, I tend to run into a lot of this stuff. I've got multiple brands of TVs, from Samsung to, well, obviously, the Sonys, and I went and researched each and every one of them over the years. And Sharp was just an easy buy one day because it was so cheap and they were getting rid of it, and a sound bar. The sound bar turned out to be pretty cruddy, so it's not on there anymore. I went with a Klipsch, which, by the way, was old school. The Klipsch is a nice sound bar, puts out good sound, but it's old school, so it's not what you really want. In fact, this one's turned over on its front because I was working with it, and makes a nice sound. It's good. TV's only 4K, no HDR, but at the price I got it for a 49-inch, who cares? DVDs and movies, that's my big deal. And yes, we have more than we need to have, but we like movies. Okay, now as far as simple stuff. If you're going to buy any of those products, I won't get any kickback from it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't care. I will tell you that you're going to have trouble if you decide to buy a lot of these products, because they're definitely not interested in supporting their products. And the 20 series is literally, I don't know, thrown together, not designed well, and pushed like crazy. I had the card long enough to run benchmarks and did it in all the games I could do. I tried to make sense of how nice it is. Sorry about the noise. And guess what? It isn't worth it. I mean, you don't get enough of a speed increase out of anything, and it adds a feature that's useless. Ray tracing at this point, it doesn't do enough to do it. Oh yeah, it's great. It's a neat feature. It adds a shading that you don't have, but I looked at it in many games, even objectively. And if you're an older gamer, which I'm one of the few, don't get enough sunlight now because I'm not able to get outside as much as I want to, but if you're an older gamer, you just do not, and I am not joking, you do not want to waste your money on that. Now, AMD, also, same, they're charging way too much for way too little and way too hot. And I tried those too. Going to a 2060 thinking, well, I'll just get entry level. Well, it's too expensive and it's a piece of junk. It doesn't do enough to make it worth buying. You got to have a reason to upgrade to a new video card, and I have not seen a reason out of any of them. Now, there is good news. Intel is coming out with some new products. If the price is right, they'll sell like crazy, because I think people are getting tired of messing around. I always talk out the corner of my mouth, guys, and the reason I do that is because, well, I used to have a pencil or a pen, and for a long time, actually, I had a memory stick that I chewed on while I was working. Yeah, not the brightest thing in the world, but years down the road, I actually used that memory stick one day in a computer, and it went off and worked beautiful, so who knows. Be aware, though, if you're going to do any of this stuff out there and buy it, just be aware there's things that are kind of screwed up right now. I just advise you don't waste your money on those. It's a great market to buy a TV. I bought a TCL, and that's one of my other reviews, and the TCL is outstanding. Now, they're 625. I don't get enough information about it. They do not have a 75-inch version of that, so frankly, if you're buying one for your living room and you're going to be at home watching movies, you know, anybody who tells me they're going to buy their 75-inch TV to play video games on it, I look at them like they're insane. And that's the truth. I really do. It's a waste of a television. Now, 55 or 49, okay, I can see that. But beyond that, it's a waste of time to use your television to to play video games, when its primary purpose, you want to get the best picture you can in movies for the best price. And I found out that Sony has a great TV, beautiful picture, too high. LG, don't even talk about them. Thousands of dollars, and you get very little performance difference between that and buying a TCL or a Hisense television. And I've played around with both, and their picture quality, you got to hit or miss. With the 75, it doesn't seem to be hit or miss. Everybody that I've seen that bought one of those, they still love it, and it works great. Below that, 65, 55, the TCL, there's some that have banding. I don't have banding, which is really good. Thank you very much. Knock on wood. But a lot of other brands do. So just be aware that if you're going to go out here and pay for stuff right now, you want to pay the money for the product that's going to work, not the product that doesn't. Hardwire everything you can in a network. And when you can't, use a mesh network. I found them to be far faster, and the Eero is so easy to set up past the primary. You don't have to follow the instructions. You can hook it into the wired network through a switch, and then set in a password that's easy to deal with on a secondary password. That just make sure it has nothing to do with anything in your family. When you set up a password, don't be stupid. When you get it set up, that's it. It'll work like gangbusters and about 5 times faster than most home networks. And I found it like streaming from everywhere in the house at 4K HDR. Beautiful. Well, that's it for today, and hope somebody watches this, but you know, just an old guy that's retired. No one really cares. Have a nice day.